Welcome to Chok Muay Chats episode 17. I'm Joe Comerford, apparently a content creator, supposedly, and a Muay Thai commentator. Welcome to my special guest, Allegra Vickas. What just happened was we recorded half an hour and I forgot to plug the microphones in. So if you're listening to this, please enjoy this episode. Know that this is the real take and that So please like, share and subscribe to this episode because we've just been through half an hour of turmoil. So
it's all right. We're getting to know each other.
Yeah. So do we need to do the origin story? Because I can sum it up. You were in Alice Springs. You had 10 boxing amateur fights. And then you found Muay Thai in Alice Springs, and then your career has skyrocketed to where you are now the WBC New South Wales champion.
Skyrocketed. Why, thank you very much.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty quick trajectory over three and a half years. I mean, it's very similar to Alfie Pearce. I don't know if you know him, but he started training the same time. Around the same time as you, and now he's at this, brilliant level on the.
I've been watching him. He's awesome
on the stadium. So I mean, it's. I think the big thing about both of you is the 100% commitment to it, and I mean, you were talking about before. You're an athlete, and you treat it as your job, and I think that's kind of what separates you and a lot of fighters, because a lot of fighters like being a fighter, like myself, but we don't like being an athlete. And I think they're two very different psyches to have.
Yeah.
I loved the idea of being a fighter, but I didn't enjoy the idea of being a full-time athlete.
Yeah.
Because, after my fights, I used to blow out hard, very hard, and that's why I look the way that I do now, but that's all right. So, could you give us a quick rundown of your origin story, even though I summarised it?
Yeah.
Could you give us another one?
Yeah. So, like you said, I had 10 boxing fights. I started boxing late 2016 and I finished up around 2018 and moved to Alice Springs. And I gave boxing a go in Alice Springs, to the best that I could, in the sense that it was just like boxercise basically. So I got bored of it. I started playing footy out there, which is a big thing in Alice. And then they opened a Muay Thai gym, post-COVID actually. I know everyone defines everything these days as before COVID and after COVID. 2020, this Muay Thai gym opens up in Alice Springs and I decide to give it a go. So I went there and I was pretty pretty much hooked from the first class. The coach knew that I'd had boxing fights, and so it was only a couple of weeks before he asked me, did I want to have a fight on his show. He was he actually started a show in Alice Springs, a Muay Thai show. I said yes, and the rest is history. And
you think that experience of boxing has helped your fight career now? Having that exposure and experience has helped you in your Muay Thai career?
Yes and no. So I know that there are other people in the sport who have had boxing experience, say before they start Muay Thai. A lot of people tell me oh yeah, but you had 10 boxing fights. So yes, it helps you 100%. You already know what it feels like to be in a fight. But then also by the same token, you have some habits that you have built, and it actually takes longer to rewrite movement patterns than it does to establish them in the first place. So in some respects, you are at a disadvantage. I always think about it before I knew how to drive a car, I rode a motorbike. So my dad rode a motorbike my whole life, and he gave me a motorbike when I was 18, and I got my motorbike license when I was 17, and I didn't know how to drive a car yet. And so I already knew how to change gears and everything, but it was with my hands, right? When you ride a motorbike, with my foot actually to change the gear. And engage the clutch with my hand. Anyway, I'm getting there with this, but when you move into a car, it feels completely different. Even though you know the road rules and you know how to be on the road, you actually have to engage the clutch with your foot and change gears with your hands, and then you're in a different kind of vehicle. Like you're in under these different conditions, and it's like just because you know the road rules doesn't mean that you're going to be better at driving a car. You know, you might actually be worse. So like I found when I started Muay Thai that like I had to work really hard to get rid of habits from boxing that don't serve you in Muay Thai. Like the classic example is when I jabbed, I would like blade my front foot and end up like quite linear, and my leg would get chopped a lot.
Yep.
So like that took a long time to, you know, square my stance up, and, you know, even just like you're not used to things coming from below in boxing. So all of a sudden you have to think about things coming from, you know, the lower part of people's body as well as the upper part. So like it did help me in some respects, but in others it like hindered me a lot.
Yeah, even things like where you look on the body, you know, like
or how you set things up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose it is a big adjustment. I mean, maybe psychologically it takes some of the fight anxiety away because you've got that experience. But then again, you're changing the whole mode and the whole theory of everything, and then having to put that into practice. So I suppose benefits and cons is kind of they're at an equilibrium in a sense. So you've gone from boxing, you found Muay Thai in Alice Springs. You know, we spoke before in the what I would say is the test run, unfortunately, that you were sort of moving between Alice Springs and Sydney, and now you're based here in Thailand. You were sort of between Alice Springs and Sydney there for a while. Had trained at SRG. You were supposed to fight for the WBC women's state title last year, but had a ring of pullouts. Now, can you tell people about how it feels to have constant pullouts? Because I've been through that experience myself.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Of just constantly training. You're in that constant training mode, and you're in fight camp, and then you get a pull out, and then after that you get another pull out, and it's how does it feel for you to have that happen?
I think after 3 in a row, which like I was told by a guy at SRG that he knew someone who'd had like 9 or something in Perth. So, okay, 3 is not so bad, but like it really with your motivation a lot. And I mean, I know people always say like you should never rely on motivation, you know, but like you try having discipline when you've been in 3 consecutive fight camps, and not only that, but like actually made weight. So like the first one and the third one, I was on weight, like I'd done the cut and I was ready to go, and then to be told like your opponent isn't, you know, can't make the fight, it really fucks with your motivation. Like after that you feel like kind of what's the point, because you put in all this effort to fight, right? Like that's the, you know, like we were talking about before, like in terms of titles, like you don't do things for the silverware, like you do it for the experience, and you put your body through all of this for the experience of actually being in the fight, and to not get that, it feels like a massive anticlimax, as I'm sure you know. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, frankly. Like it really sucks. I know life gets in the way, and it is like unfortunate that these things happen, but yeah, and also just that length of time between fights. Maybe if it was every weekend, every second weekend, you wouldn't mind so much, but you know, to be told after like training for 3 months that you're not fighting, and then you have to wait another like 3 or 4 months to get another opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a lot harder for females in Australia. There's not the fighter pool. You know, it's a bit easier for males because there's a bigger fighter pool, so more consistency. But you know, for especially high level females, you know, it becomes a lot harder after about, you know, 1 or 2 fights, because, you know, they've got all these development days in New South Wales and Victoria and stuff now with the, you know, Muay Thai Victoria. doing their thing today, you know, after 1 or 2 fights, yeah, you can find females pretty easily, but 5 to 10 after that, it starts getting pretty thin, you know. A lot of people
100%.
aren't that dedicated. So yeah, I can, you know, I do feel for you in that respect of 3-month spaces, you know, constant, and you put your life on hold for this sport.
Yeah.
You know?
In the case of the first one, like, I literally put my life on hold. Like, Blade and I, we, you know, we had a bunch of stuff in Alice Springs. Like, he had more than I did, but I was living in Sydney training at SIG. I ended up staying there for 6 months. We were doing long distance. So instead of just making the move and pulling our stuff out of Alice, like, we just decided, okay, I'll go to Sydney and train, and like, he'll stay there and work on his house. So he basically ended up renting out his, leasing out his property. And, you know, we had to pack up all our stuff and put it in like a trailer, and it takes a long time to do that stuff. So we basically just put that on hold to say, like, let's chase this opportunity. Blade came out, I think 4 weeks before the fight, and lived with me in Sydney. Neither of us really worked. Like, I was doing sort of like temp work here and there, but like I couldn't get a full-time job because I was effectively going to be like moving back to Alice in order to move out. So I would have had to just quit anyway. Yeah, and just like you put all this stuff on hold, and then, you know, to be told like at the last moment you're not fighting, it's like, yeah, hugely depressing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big psychological head to have all that happen.
Yeah.
You know, and plus, like, if people don't know, long distance is not easy as well, and especially as a fighter, you know, you've got that to work with. Then you got the psychological having people pull out on you all the time. That's so I imagine that would have been a pretty low point at the you know, your career. How did you pull yourself out of that rut?
I mean, after that, then I went back to Alice, and Blade and I spent like what felt like the longest month of my life just like living in his shed, packing up all our stuff and like trying to sell stuff, and we just had like one like bad thing after the next happen. And look, I know people say like, it's about the journey, not the destination. And it's like, I actually think that having pullouts like teaches you that. It's like, if you're not doing it because you love the training, and if you're not doing it because, like you said before, like you love being an athlete and you love the lifestyle of being a fighter, then it's probably like you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. Yeah. And like maybe at first I focused on the negatives, like I didn't get to fight, this sucks. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, actually, I probably wouldn't have changed it. Like, if I had known in advance that any of those girls were going to pull out, would I like just sit at home and not train or like go out partying? Probably not. Like, I don't party anymore anyway. Like, I'm a bit of a loser. Like, I don't have a huge social life. Like, I love training. I look forward to it every day. I think about it all day. Like, especially when I was actually working, like back in Australia, I would spend all of my time at my job just like any moment I could, like to look at a little Muay Thai video or, you know, to think about it. Like, I would think about it all day and then get excited to go and actually hit pads. And I think at least it taught me like I'm doing it. Well, I'm doing it because I like doing it, not because I like need the end result of winning a fight or whatever. Like, the fighting is the icing on the cake, frankly, but like I would still probably train if I couldn't fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what separates, you know, winners and the losers, to be honest. Like, there's plenty of people I've known over the years, including myself, who love the lifestyle but can't put the groundwork in, or the 100% commitment. Like me personally, I love sparring. I hate having to do all the drills and the hard stuff after training that you have to do.
Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah, and that's what separates champions to journeymen.
Yeah.
And it's true. The people who don't want to do stuff after training and when the lights go off are the people who don't last. And, you know, that's just the reality of combat sports. All the people who rise to the top are the people who put in the hard work after training. So now that you've, after that dark little patch there, you have come over here. So what was the catalyst for coming over to Thailand?
So towards the end of last year, I had one fight in Queensland in October. And then we were trying to get another one, like, desperately before the end of the year. And we, like, asked everyone. We were, like, spamming promoters, just, like, get Allegra on the show. You know, like, messaging girls like, bitch, fight me, you know. And we thought that we'd matched someone, and it turns out that she turned it down because apparently they didn't pay her enough money or something like that, which, I don't know, if you've had under 10 fights, like, you shouldn't even be asking for a purse, frankly. So we were over it. Blade and I both, we were just fed up with it. And we saw the amazing Muay Thai festival. Like, it came up on my Instagram feed. And, you know, we'd wanted to go to Thailand for a long time, like, actually give it a proper go and, like, stay here, you know, 4 months, 6 months, whatever, we could make it work. And so we just, like, literally just, I don't know, put our heads down to try and get that to happen. We were thinking about leaving at the end of February. I was working for UTAS down in Tasmania, so we had a bit of a stint in Tassie living in Hobart. And I was contracted to work there till the end of February. And I just didn't like the job. So I said to Blade, like, do you want to, like, what if I just quit and we just go? Like, we literally flew out Boxing Day. And then just registered for this WBC Amazing Muay Thai Festival, because we knew, like, it's a tournament. I might get, you know, 2 fights, I might get 4 fights, like, who knows. So that was just the goal. And then the other goal was, like, stay in Thailand as long as possible. So, you know, sold a little bit of stuff and, like, just left. And now we're here. Like, we found an amazing gym on the outskirts, and the whole, like, reason for moving here was just to get fights for me, and also for Blade to basically get more experience, like, coaching, pad holding. But yeah, primarily for me, like, just to take opportunities, because we just had such a bad year, you know, like 2 fights in 1 year is pathetic. Like, frankly, it's really, really bad.
A very, very inactive year.
Super inactive. But like you said before, like, I was actually in fight camp, like, a lot of last year. I think I spent that month of July when we moved out of Alice Springs, like, you know, effectively not in fight camp, but for the rest of it, I was, you know, training hard, like, working hard, like, dieting. And that, I think that's a really hard thing, right? When you're in a calorie deficit for, like, 10 weeks, you know, and, like, then you're in another calorie deficit for another 6 weeks. Like, it's hard on your body, you know, you, like, start accruing injuries and stuff. So yeah, we just decided to make the move because of that.
And what have you found, you know, what have been the positives about moving out here, and what have you found tough to adjust to?
Like, the big positive is just the training schedule. You know, like, for me, like, I really like just training twice a day. Like, what, it's like 6, 7, 8, sometimes 8 hours, depending on what we do a day, you know, which when I tell people that, like, they're like, that's like a full-time job, you know, 8 hours a day, like 6 days a week. But I really like that. That's all I want to do. I just want to train and, like, eat and sleep and recover and do it again. So that's the main positive, is that it's a little bit cheaper to live in Thailand. Like, I would say probably not as much as it used to be, but certainly a lot cheaper than Sydney. I'm not working here currently, but, like, if I can find some form of work and stay a bit longer, like, that would be great. Because, yeah, at the moment, the massive positive is just the training schedule, like the ability to get better faster, and then the connections that we have at the gym. Like, the manager of the gym is very well connected. He, you know, has already started talking about, like, getting me fights. So that's a huge positive. In terms of adapting, like, the running, so I actually do like running, but we run 10K in the morning and about 7 or 8K in the afternoon. So, like, for the first few weeks that I was at the gym, I only ran once a day in the morning. And then even then I cut that back from 10Ks to about, you know, 7 or 8Ks, because it's just, I think for someone who's a Westerner, like, you don't know what that feels like until a few weeks in and then your body starts falling apart. To be running like nearly 20 Ks a day, it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there and done it. It's a huge adjustment. I was lucky kind of back in Sydney at PTJ. We used to do a lot of running, but it's still not to the same amount that.
Where did you train in Thailand when you first came here?
So I trained I originally started training at Hong Kong up in Chiang Mai, and we didn't actually do that much running there. It's a bit more laid back.
I've been there actually.
Yeah. It's back then it was like very good technical training and pretty laid back, like you're not killing yourself. And then first serious gym I went to was FA Group, and
Did they run a lot?
They used to. I don't know how it is now. I know the last couple of times I've been there, you can barely move in there because there's so many foreigners. Yeah. But this was like 7-8 years ago. There was like a handful of us, like 3-4 foreigners there, and we'd do 10K runs in the morning and then 5-6 in the afternoon, just around the neighborhood. I mean, it's a lot of running. 17 to 20 Ks a day is a lot for people to adjust to.
I think it seems to be changing now. Like a lot of the gyms are using the kind of new sports science informed kind of training methods where like maybe they're not running as much but they're putting in sprint work or like they use the assault bike or whatever. But the gym that we're at is in some respects is still very old school, and the running is like a core part of the training.
I mean, and not only that, there's a big adjustment in the training to suit entertainment Muay Thai, because that's where the money is now, and a lot of gyms are recruiting. They're more open to Westerners now and Western input on how to fight the style for one championship or RWS or more opportunities abroad are opening up for Thais, so they're more focusing on that kind of the style rather than the stadium style, for the gamblers and playing the game. So with that comes a shift in the style of training. I mean, at Sword Dechapan, they sprint every afternoon.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. So I don't know about their running schedule. I'm pretty sure they do a long run in the morning and they might do a shorter one in the afternoon because it's hot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always kind of been the traditional thing of doing the long run in the morning and a shorter one in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But the boys are sprinting after training every day.
Yeah, which is probably good, especially after training.
Yeah.
The run in the afternoon, like, I almost look at it like it's for mental toughness.
Yeah.
I don't even think about it for my fitness. It's like brutal.
Yeah.
Running in the sun. Like I have to obviously I wear a hat, but I have to wear like a hoodie over my hat to stop my face getting burnt.
Yeah.
And it's just brutal. Like, it's hard.
So are you out in the rice paddies and okay. So if people don't know the kind of geography of Thailand, out in the rice paddies, there's no trees, there's no coverage. It's straight up blaring sun on your face.
Yeah. There's a few patches of shade where you think, and this is where that mental toughness thing comes in, where you're like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. And then you get to that little shady patch and you're like, I got to stop. It's just so hot. Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, I thought, look, I ran in Alice Springs a lot in like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I have to say it's hotter because it's drier. And I actually have a thing on my eye called a pterygium, which is like what roofies get in Australia when the sun hits the roof and it comes up and it's like a growth in your cornea. Right. I have one of those from running in Alice Springs. Like sometimes I would get like it would trigger a migraine because I had too much sun in my eyes, and I'd like get this spotty vision and I'd lose my vision for like half an hour, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to get some sunglasses.
Yeah.
And I would say it's comparable to that. But then I wasn't running 8Ks, this is like 8Ks in the scorching sun yeah, it's pretty intense. But
I mean, now is the hottest part of the year for Thailand.
Oh, really?
And currently, right now, we're going through a heat wave, so you probably felt that this week.
100%.
Yeah, you would have felt it this week. I mean,
Okay, it makes sense.
I was at the gym holding pads, and I was like,
Yeah.
after 2 rounds, that's enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been here I've been here now 2 months, and I was thinking this week, like, it's hot.
Well, especially the outer areas
Yeah.
of Bangkok were the worst, like, hit.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
As,
And the roads, like,
information.
here you've got concrete roads, but the road out there is like tarmac. It's like unsealed tarmac, so
Yeah.
it's just black. It's like drawing all the
Yeah.
heat in from the sun.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
only imagine it.
Yeah.
And have you got soy dogs out there chasing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know, there's so many comparisons to Alice. Like, you've got all these campies roaming around the town, but like some of those dogs, I swear they know that you're not Thai.
Oh yeah, they're racist. Thai dogs are actually.
Yeah. Thai boys will run past them.
Yeah.
And like some days they look at me and they're like, yeah, I'll let you go past. But then like recently they've started like chasing me or like barking at me. But
No, Thai dogs are super xenophobic. It's a thing. And I've witnessed
You've
that.
been there,
I've
done
been
that.
on the receiving end of a racial hate crime from a dog before.
which is not good because rabies, like they have rabies here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with the dogs. Don't go. One tip about training in Thailand: don't pat the dogs. I love dogs; they're my favorite thing in the world. But don't pat the dogs here.
I actually had a plan, like maybe I'll put some meat in my pockets and stop and give them all meat as I'm going along the route.
Yeah.
And then they know me as like the meat lady. So when I come past, they're not going to
Not a
like
bad
bite
idea.
me
Yeah.
because they're like, she gave me food that one time. Like maybe I'll get it again.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good plan. It could go the opposite way, but who knows? So, you're out here now. You fought on the WBC Amazing Muay Thai Festival. You fought Erin Carter. I mean, we spoke about it before in the test run.
That's where I said all the bad things about her.
Oh,
I'm joking.
well, we'll just go through it again, just quickly about what it's like fighting somebody on your team, because I think it's an interesting psychological topic to get into about having to fight somebody that's on your team, because I mean, you're representing the same country. We've got this kind of Aussies have when it comes to sport, like real patriotism and supporting each other.
Yeah.
What was it like fighting Erin?
It was good. It was awesome. Like, I really rate Erin. She's really good. And I went into the fight with the mentality of like, I want to test myself against Erin. I want to fight her in the pros in Australia, and like I want to test myself against her and see where I'm at. You know, like I knew going into the tournament, like, so effectively what happened was I was registered in the elite division.
Yep.
And none of the girls turned up. One of them had a visa issue. I don't know what happened to the other one. So they said to me effectively, like, you can take a gold in the elite division without having done any fighting, which for me is like not in my constitution. Or you can go down to the B class. And even though Erin was in B class, it was a better option than going up in weight. So we took that option. I knew that there would be a very high chance that Erin would make the finals, and I obviously backed myself, so I thought I'd make the finals and that we would fight each other. So I knew that was like likely going to happen. Like you said before, Australians, like, I'm pretty sure like when Erin was watching me, she would have been doing that, like, you know, cheering for me. I was cheering for her, like watching her in her semi-final bout, knowing like, you know, if she wins this and if I win mine, like, we'll fight each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of a cool thing about being Australian is like we're laid back enough to not look at that person as a competitor before that is actually a reality.
Yeah.
You know, and like Erin's a lovely person, so I'm happy to, you know, cheer for her, like, but when we're ring, like, I'm going to fight her. And that's what happened, and it was a really, really good outcome, I think, because I actually we had 5 in our division. So I actually ended up having 3 fights, whereas the other girls, the one that I beat in the first round, she was knocked out. The other 2 girls, you know, like would have also had the same as Erin, like only 2 fights to win gold, but I had to fight 3 times. And so getting to that gold medal match was really cool for me because, you know, like I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen in the tournament. I didn't even know if I would get through the first round, and then there I was like fighting in the finals against someone that I've wanted to fight for a long time, and who hopefully I'll fight in the pros in Australia. And it was just like all around a really awesome experience, you know.
And you fought at Lumpini Stadium. And then you had Matt Lucas in the crowd yelling Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. And like Erin and I both responded. Like it was just cool. It was, yeah.
I mean, a lot of other countries, you know, had 2 people in the finals, like Brazil and America and, you know. But like you said, Australia, we're a small country in our population, so it is kind of, and we're a small community, Muay Thai, so everyone kind of knows each other, and it is kind of weird to have to face someone that you, like, I'd never met Erin. Oh, I had actually met her before, so like I know her, and we're both in Thailand, and we end up fighting each other. Like it is a bit odd, but at the same time, like it makes for a great fight because we both decide like we're gonna give it everything that we've got. Like we're competitors at the end of the day, you know. That comes before patriotism, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean, you, there's a sense like you got to get in there and get the job done. There can't be any sort of you can't hold back.
No way, like not in a fight, you know. Someone else wants to take your head off. And then the other aspect is like for Erin and I think Erin's been doing it about the same time that I has. Like she hasn't been doing it for 10 years. So this for both of us is like the biggest opportunity that we've both had in our careers to date, like fighting in Thailand at Lumpini Stadium on the world stage. You know, like we're not gonna let that opportunity slip away easily.
Yeah. It's going to be a fight. It's not going to be like friendly sparring.
No.
So after that, you flew straight back to Sydney, pretty much, and fought last weekend?
Yeah, last weekend.
Yeah, it was last weekend on 1774, which was reviewed by another country as 2.5 stars for another reason.
Was that?
I didn't say, I'm not allowed to say anything. But that was pretty funny, the reception online. But you fought on 1774 against Bronte Simpson, who I think is a very strong up-and-comer on the Australian scene. She's fought more out here than she really has had the opportunity to at home. She's not had a great run back home, but I think with a few more fights, she'll be a pretty strong competitor in her weight division. What was that like, fighting her for the WBC New South Wales title?
I mean, it was awesome because she showed up. She didn't pull out, and any fight where the person shows up is good for me. She, like, her energy in the ring is so good. It was really challenging fighting her. Like, she just keeps coming at you. You throw like heavy shots at her, and she kind of just like walks through them, which is one element of Muay Thai that like you kind of can't teach that. Hey, like that heart. You can teach someone to have better technique, but like that desire to like dig deep and just keep going is, I think, something that you can't teach, and Bronte 100% has that. Yeah. And it was such a good experience. Like, that is such a good show. Michael and Erin put on such a good show, and like I got to fight early because I was we headlined the undercard, and then I just got to kick back and watch everyone else fight. And man, there was some cracking fights on that show. It was an amazing night. I definitely wouldn't give it 2.5 stars. I would give it 5 stars. But yeah, Bronte was like a solid opponent. I
heard it was pretty hot in there because the air conditioner stopped working at the venue.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that, but it was actually air conditioned in the like warm up rooms. Yeah. And I don't like the cold, so I was like thinking, it's cold in here. Like, why do I have to pump the aircon in here? And then you walk out into the venue and you're like, nah, I'm good now. Yeah. fucking hot.
Yeah, there was a lot of comments about the heat in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the stream was good and it was a good fight to watch. Like it was genuinely a really fun fight to watch over 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Real good mix of styles too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just and both of you are workhorses as well. Like it's really nice to watch. Really 2 strong females just keep pushing for the whole fight. There was not one relaxed round.
See, I kind of felt like I was maybe sitting back a little bit too much and not doing enough. But it's interesting, like when you're in there versus when you watch yourself fight afterwards, you know, like on the video, it often looks completely different to how it was in your head. I actually came out of that fight like disappointed in my performance. So like, you know, all the photos that they took of us in the ring afterwards, like maybe I was putting on a bit of a fake smile, but I do that anyway. But then I watched it back and it looks so different in my head. But I actually thought that I looked like quite chill. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, I mean, I thought, you sat back and played the game a bit more than other fights I've seen you fight, but it was very impressive. It was a good fight, and you know what? It was a really good matchup for that belt.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, you know, you were saying before in the pre-test to this episode that you've got the belt sitting over at SRG.
Yeah, left it in Sydney.
Yeah. Yeah. So, was that always a goal to fight for the state title?
So like we said in the warm up, like yes and no. So I just want hard fights. I just want good hard fights against like, you know, people that I would rate like better than me, or, you know, just people who are like rated higher. I think for me that's the goal. And, you know, it's nice to have a belt, 100%, but like I don't want to fight for something against someone that doesn't deserve it. I don't want to be given that fight opportunity unless I deserve it. You know, I want to actually... It's harder because this pool is smaller for women. So you probably get given opportunities earlier than you would if you were a man, because by virtue of like just having fewer opponents, you don't have to work your way through people as much. But I still want to like earn that opportunity to be given a belt or like a chance to fight for a belt. And I personally like, I don't know if Katie Mitchell like still wants to fight at 59 kilos, but like I would still like to fight her, you know, maybe defend the belt against her, like, because that's also a hard fight. But I also think Bronte deserved that opportunity because, like you said, she's a workhorse. And, you know, she's out here like in Thailand, probably the same as me, like not earning any money, you know, like putting everything on the line to try and make this work.
No, and I think people don't realise like her story is that, you know, she's training out of my mate's gym over in Byron, and the North Coast fighters haven't been given a lot of opportunities because they're not kind of one of the big gyms, you know. I would really love to see a lot of the rural gyms get more opportunities.
Do you think that's a money issue, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spoken to I can't remember who it was, but I did an interview a while ago and we spoke about this, about the opportunities for rural gyms in comparison to, you know, inner city gyms. And for rural gyms, it's few and far between in comparison. I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, money of being able to travel as an amateur.
Yeah.
You don't get as many opportunities.
Even as a pro, because honestly, like, I mean, I didn't really have a choice, like amateur or pro. Like when I first started fighting Muay Thai, I think effectively it was pro because I've never had, or up until the other week on the Amazing Muay Thai Festival, I'd never had a padded Muay Thai fight.
Yep.
So I actually self-funded, like, I think a lot of my fights up until, you know, 9 or 10 like were self-funded. You know, maybe we paid for the flights and the accommodation, or I didn't take a purse, but like certainly, you know, a lot of my income when I was working in Alice Springs like went to fund me and Blade going to fight in other places. And it's different if you're a junior, like maybe if there's a funding structure in Australia, that would be a good thing to start building. But like as a pro, an early pro, I think you have to just cop a financial loss and say like, this is me investing in my career. This is something that I want to do. So I'm happy not to get paid, or I'm happy to chip in for whatever it might be. I'm happy not to get any money at all.
Yeah. And I think that's where like Australia kind of loses out a bit with their athletes, in our sport at least, is there's a lack of funding and a lack of sponsorship funding. Yeah. Like, I mean, you look at the US athletes who were on the Amazing Muay Thai Festival. They get amazing funding over in North America. Like even local businesses will jump on board with local athletes.
Yeah.
I see it all the time with guys that come over here for trips. They'll have local businesses jump on that, and I think that's where our community could step up a little bit more in Australia about helping funding with athletes.
For international, any like if you're representing Australia overseas, like 100% it should be funded. It's different if you're like living in Australia and you're traveling for a pro fight. But yeah, 100%. Like when I was a boxer, I got the opportunity to go to Papua New Guinea and fight, and it was hilarious. Like it was so good, and they paid for everything because Boxing New South Wales, like have a good funding structure. And I know that they're trying to build that now with Muay Thai. Like I think Zoe Puderak got some funding last year maybe for IFMA.
Yeah.
Like Boxing Muay Thai New South Wales got some funding for them, which is good.
And that was one of the first years that they had enough money to do it. And it's taken... Andy's been doing this over 10 years to get
and it's not like he makes any money from those roles. Like a lot of people are like volunteering their time to make that work for the athletes. So someone always loses out, and like we all do it for the love of it. At the end of the day, we're not really making much money from this, if anything at all. But I mean, like especially for juniors, like if you want them to get that fight experience that they're probably not going to get in Australia because they've already like smashed everyone in the country, you've got to fund them to go overseas.
Oh, 100%. It's got to... I think small businesses in Australia could step up a bit. But I know we're all paying huge tax in Australia in the housing crisis and all that shit.
Cost of living,
that's one of the reasons why I left. But
me too.
The next thing I wanted to ask you was that I can't remember because I've got CTE, but what's the next step for you? What do you think your plan is next? Have you got any fights that you can talk about possibly?
Okay. At the moment we have things in the works that I can't explicitly say what they are, but I do have 2 very big opportunities coming up. One of them in Thailand, one in Australia.
Awesome.
So if everything goes to plan and they don't fall through for whatever reason, like, yes, I have some really great opportunities coming up, and it's also why we want to stay here and make this work. So like, shout out to anyone who wants to sponsor me because, staying in Thailand is my goal. But we do have some really good opportunities coming up. I would like to fight an international opponent, which is looking likely in the next month or so. And I think like the goal is just to get more fight experience. So currently I'm sitting on 13 Muay Thai fights. And just fight often, fight as regularly as my body will let me fight, and get the experience. And then we can start looking at like taking down some big names. Which is fun, because like I want to fight people who are good, and I want to fight on the big shows like RWS. I know Thai fight's gone out of style a little bit, it seems. Like it's not very fashionable, but I would really like to fight Card Check.
So they still have the shows at Beat Active on Sundays. I think they should be on right now actually. Yeah, they still put on great shows, but what they do now is they pull provincial talent. So they're about, instead of getting all the old superstars like Sayok and Sutakon, like that, they pull kind of like the up-and-coming talent from the provinces and bring them to Bangkok. I think they're going to start doing road shows and stuff as well. Because I know the commentators who do that. So yeah, they were telling me about the concept, and they're starting to do more active shows instead of the big, huge, 100,000.
Put all your resources into one show.
In crowd. So they're more of a kind of a grassroots level, but they're still on TV. They still pay well, and I haven't been to them recently, but I've had friends that have been to the last couple ones, and they say like it's sick. It's an awesome show to go to if you're in Bangkok. So they're out at Bang Na at the Beat Active building on a Sunday at about 5. So do Channel 7 and then zip out there on the train line.
I don't think Channel 7 have ever had a female fight. Is that right?
No.
I don't know how. Like, maybe this is a bit premature, but if that were to change sometime soon, like, it would be, because I've been to Channel 7 now, like most weekends that we've been here, we have one of the guys fighting on Channel 7, and it's like quickly become my favourite stadium. It is so cool, but it is very, very old school. So
yeah, I would probably say it's probably another 5 years before that would happen.
I'll practically be dead. So, probably not, but
yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the last kind of standing traditional stadiums. Obviously we have like the Air Force Stadium, and then there's Rangsit, Jitmangon, which is still fairly traditional. I
do like Rangsit too. I went there like last time I was in Thailand, and it was pretty cool.
The other one is Siam World Stadium, which is up at Bunker not far from here. That they're not a traditional stadium, but they do traditional shows like Kiat Pet, which is a big traditional promoter here. So they still have that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Smaller showcase shows though.
Yeah.
But still very good. I think they show on Amarin TV sometimes.
Yeah.
So they're pretty cool.
All the 5-round like I would like to get more 5-round fights because I think that's where my strength lies. Like I'm not particularly I'm not a fast starter. I need I need 3-minute rounds. So that was another thing with the Bronte fight. Like, we thought we were fighting 3-minute rounds, but it turns out that the WBC, for belts, they'll only allow 3-minute rounds for an international or higher title.
Really?
Yeah. So
I saw I actually saw Andy made a comment about that yesterday. Why a professional female still fighting at 2 minutes?
I don't understand it either. Like, even when I was boxing, it was always 3 minutes, and to fight 2 minutes, like, like it's a third of the total. Like, if you're fighting a 5-round fight, it's a third of the fight gone. Like 5 minutes over the course of a fight is a lot, and you can have a lot of impact in that last minute of the fight, and I think that's where I grow into fights. I think I get stronger as the rounds go on, and like I definitely love 5 rounds, and I definitely need that third minute to work in the round, because sometimes I feel like I'm only just getting started and then the bell goes. You'll
probably find that, like, when you're out here, you'll be fighting on a lot more of the entertainment shows. The opportunities for women out here are LWC, Fairtex Fight, and RWS. Unless you get on some of those other promotions that do all female cards and that sort of thing, but more often than not, you probably find you're fighting on 3-rounder shows out here.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame. Look, I know, like, the world is changing, but it seems to be that I do feel strongly about this, and it seems to be that it's like palatable at the moment for women to fight only for this sort of small proportion of the show, and like for a small proportion of the time. And I'm not a big fan of like being super vocal about it. I don't really think that's the right tact. I think just by being a good athlete, you've got people like Dory, who fought last night against Judy Hummer in Queensland, and putting on such a spectacular performance that, like, actions speak louder than words. I think people are going to take notice of that and just kind of go like, female Muay Thai is, in its own right, very good. you know, it might be different from, I think we're never going to be men. Like, we're never going to be as fast or as powerful as men, but like we have our own attributes that I think like are worthy of us being given the same amount of time to fight. And like things will change, but I think just by being a good representation of a female athlete is like the best way to make the changes happen.
Yeah, and it's interesting you know talk about that, because I mean Matt and I have said on you know the show we commentate on regularly about how quickly the opportunities for females have grown.
Yeah.
You know, like only a couple of years ago, Rajadamnan and Lumpini were not allowing female fights, and that was a thing for 40 years.
Wasn't it only last year?
Yeah, it was only last year. And then, I mean, now every single show I mean, not every single show, but most shows will have 2 to 3 females on the card, which is, you know, amazing to see now. But I still think we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, one's got the all female card coming up for the International Women's Day, but the fact that it takes International Women's Day to do that, you know, like
it's got to move from being a token gesture to actually being like an accepted part of the sport that, you know, people don't even think twice about it. It's like we're just there doing the same thing.
No, but I tell you what is cool is seeing more Thai females getting into it. Yeah. There's, you know, from when I was fighting, I'm seeing it becoming more and more common for young female athletes, because before it was kind of, you know, women who were, you know, in their mid to late 20s who were doing it. But now on Fairtex Fight, we've got 17, 18-year-old women on there.
Yeah, and they're killing it.
They're
like that
good,
junior Fairtex girl.
Oh, yeah. I love her. She's so funny online. Like, her last video that she did with Matt about teaching English after a fight was hilarious. But
I didn't see that.
But she's an absolute demon in the ring.
Weapon.
Like, you know, her last fight against Angela Chang. You know, and you know, props to Angela Chang as well. That was a tough fight. But, you know, that's the kind of fights we're seeing now.
Yeah.
You know, another Australian, Celeste Hanson, who's a absolute demon, you know, that grit, determination, push forward style, you know, and women put on exciting fights. And I think
if you go to fight shows, often people like, if you say, like, what was your favourite fight? They'll be like, oh, those chicks can bang, you know, but it can't, like, that's not sustainable. It can't just be like a novelty.
No.
You know, because they stand out because they were the only female fight. It has to be like, oh, actually, we're capable of putting on those performances all the time if you want us to. Yeah.
And if you have a look at the new Thai fight series, they often have like 3 or 4 female matches on the card. Often card chook as well. So if people
they're good. Good fights. Like, I would like to fight on that show, because the girls, like, I can't remember her name, but the chick that fights out of Tiger, and I think she might be from Laos. But she's a beast.
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I mean, like, just a beast. And that might have been like a novelty back in the day, but I think like more recently people are seeing like, oh, it's not just like a one-off. Like, there are a lot of women that can be that strong and like that good. And not only technical, but you know, I've got that, as you were talking about Bronte in the pre-test, you know, bite down on the mouth guard, and they've got that dog in them. You know, because traditionally, like back before pre-COVID era, you know, women were known for having beautiful Muay Thai. But more and more, you're just seeing girls bite. No, I don't like to use the word girls. Female athletes bite down on the mouth guard and just bang and really not brawl, but, you know, calculated Muay mat style, which is exciting to watch. It's like the next level. It's like they're still beautiful, but they just have that ferocity where it's like, you know, now I'm actually not scared to get cut because, like, society deems that, like, if I have a scar on my face that I'm not like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good thing. I really think it's a good thing.
It's interesting you say that because, I mean, like, I think, you know, over the last couple of years we've seen a societal shift about accepting people of all types and being your authentic self.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into Muay Thai now as well, as, you know, as like things that were once taboo are becoming more and more accepted as the world changes.
Yeah.
Hence, women being allowed to compete at, you know, Lumpini Stadium and Rajadamnern Stadium. So, you know, there's a big shift in the world at the moment, which is fantastic to see. Where can people find you online?
So,
Yes.
my Instagram, like literally the day after I won the WBC state title, my Instagram got hacked, which like is totally my fault because I'm horrendous with online security.
Yep.
So I have a new Instagram. If I get my other one back, like I'm going to go back to the old one. But for the moment, you can find me at gambe.undici. So it's like GAMBE.UNDICI. It means legs 11 in Italian for anyone who's like sort of like, what the But yeah. That's where you can find me. Okay. And like I have one post at the moment and I think I have like 6 followers.
Well, that's all right because I'll drop it in the link below and I'll give it a bit of a push. And how long do you think you will be out here in Thailand for?
I'm just going to say indefinitely because I mean, like, my partner loves it here. He's just like come into his own. He loves everything about Thai culture. I like Thailand too. I love Australia. Like I never want to leave Australia for good, but like I do want to be here maybe for like a year, 2 years if we can make that work. Like it just depends on the opportunities. I have done like a John Wayne PAR and moved here with like next to no savings and just kind of like trying to get fight opportunities and hopefully, you know, if I blow up a bit, then like I'll get paid a bit more and I can actually stay here for longer. And then obviously it depends on visas as well, but we definitely want to try and stay here and make it work. Like I turned 34 this year, so I don't know how much longer I have in this sport. Like, you know, modern medicine is like pretty great, but I don't know if it's great enough to keep me fighting for another 10 years. But if I can.
I'm turning 34 this year as well.
Oh, no way.
Maybe,
1990, baby.
Maybe I can go back to fighting. I don't know.
Yeah. Why not? Never say never.
I mean, cosmetic surgery is pretty good these days. So.
Oh, definitely get a nose job when I'm done with fighting.
But what I wanted to say was thank you for your time and thanks for, you know, sharing your story. It's always interesting hearing about different perspectives of the fight game and the psychology behind fighting because, you know, I think it takes a kind of a special kind of creature to jump in the ring and it's great to kind of pick people's brains about different topics. So thank you for your time and I hope to see you on the stage here in Thailand and doing well and you know, I'll be behind you waving the Allegra flag the whole way. So you know, you're an exciting fighter to watch and you know, look forward to the journey. So if you like this episode, please like, share and subscribe amongst your friends. And also make sure you follow and support Allegra on social media because, you know, that's the way to get behind your favourite fighters and that's how we can push sponsorship deals and get fighters more opportunities. So make sure you follow the link below. I will put your Instagram there and obviously give me a follow at Joe Comerford Muay Thai. You know, I can't do it if people don't watch my so thank you very much. This is episode 17. Check it out on YouTube and Spotify. Peace out.